For those of you who were at the last stream, you might recall that I started keeping
Accessing the extras section.
a tally of the clumsy race metaphors that we pick up on in this game. So we're going to keep doing that today. The clumsy race metaphor counter is currently at 9, and I'm going to keep count of those. I have a written list so that we can keep count of those together. If anybody else picks up on any clumsy race metaphors that they want to flag, please go ahead. I'm going to pull up my list now so that we can do a little recap of where we were with the clumsy race metaphors, but I actually might have thought of a 10th one off stream. I'm going to come back to that in a second. So we might actually be at 10 clumsy race metaphors, which is a strong start to the stream. Where's the list? Okay, here we go. So in the last stream, we got Holocaust imagery. That was the blue triangle and the blue armband for marking androids apart from humans. We had androids as slaves. Daniel called himself a slave, and I'm sure that that language is going to become a thing later on as well. We have androids as live-in domestic labor and as nannies, and we kind of talked about that as like a racialized and gendered position in the last stream. We had anti-migrant rhetoric against androids, the people harassing Marcus and being like, androids are taking all our jobs and blah blah blah. We have Jim Crow, but it's androids and humans, and there's an android compartment on the bus. Wonder if we're gonna get a bus boycott plot line in this game. Number 6 was Marcus Luther King, which I have put as the title of this stream. And civil rights movement imagery in general. I have a feeling that that's gonna become a thing as the game progresses. I don't know if you can hear my cat. Hi, Layla. Do you want to join the stream? The 7th was mixed girl poetry because of Marcus and his painting and being able to not wax poetic exactly because it was like paintings, but wax artistic about his torn identity. Is he android? Is he human? Is he both? Etc. Number 8 was the pub with the no androids sign, which is supposed to be a reminiscent of the no blacks, no dogs, no Irish signs on pubs in the UK. That were particularly prominent in the 70s and the 80s. And number 9 was Comprador Connor. Connor is an android designed to hunt deviants and androids, so he's the character that we... deviant androids, so he's the character that we play as. That's part of the Comprador class of androids, like the race traitor character, the one who sells out his oppressed kind of group that he comes from. And those were the 9 that we had written down in the last stream, but since then, I potentially have another one, and it's... I don't know how to phrase this exactly, but it's like, I think that in the last stream, there was a point where Chloe, the android in the main menu screen, mentioned this, and then I was also like doing a very brief read-up on Detroit and its history, because I was like mentioning in the last stream that I have like a kind of cursory awareness about poverty and development in Detroit, so I wanted to look into that like slightly more before streaming today. And it was the Chloe mentioned this in the menu, it was the mention of the Underground Railroad, and that historically Detroit was apparently like a key kind of stop or location on the Underground Railroad, which for people who don't know was like a secret route for enslaved people in the United States to escape to Canada across the border. And apparently Detroit was a very important stop in the Underground Railroad. Chloe mentions that in the game. And so I have a feeling that we're going to have some kind of underground railroad for androids. I'm going to... Maybe I won't list it just now. I'm going to like put a star by it on my list because we'll see if that, you know, comes into the game narrative, I guess. But that's a possible 10th clumsy race metaphor already. So that's where we were at with that. Hi, Lost and Fairy. Welcome back for more nonsense. Yes, indeed. I was just doing a quick recap on our clumsy race metaphors tally and potentially adding another one to the list. But we'll kind of keep an eye out for this one before I kind of solidly confirm it as the 10th metaphor. Although for people who've played Fallout 4, there is, in fact, a underground railroad for synthetics, for synths, sorry, that's what they're called in Fallout 4, which are basically, yeah, like robots that look like human beings. They're basically androids. There's literally an underground railroad for synths in Fallout 4. So that's another game that has that as a clumsy race metaphor for reference, but yet to confirm if that's going to be a thing in this game. That is connected to the slavery metaphor, but I think that it classifies as a different one. We could potentially debate some of these and whether they should be amalgamated at the end, but I think that that counts as a different metaphor. Faye says, the interesting thing about that is that Canada still had slavery, which I didn't learn about until university because they sure as hell didn't tell us in high school. They didn't. I went to high school in Canada for 3 years and I don't remember that being mentioned at all, so would be super curious to hear more about that. If you have any knowledge or resources to share about that, then would be super interested, and thank you for sharing that much in the chat now, because that's really good to know. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, it makes complete sense. Like, why would they stop at the border, considering? Before we get back into the game as well, there are a couple of things. So last time I was talking like a little bit about the history of Detroit, and I said I was gonna like do like a quick kind of research before talking about it. I haven't looked into a lot of this in depth. I literally just did like a quick Wikipedia article surf, but I had a few things that I wanted to mention because I think they'll be super relevant to our discussion of the game about the history of Detroit. So yeah, this is literally from Wikipedia. It says, during the late 19th and 20th century, Detroit became an important industrial hub at the center of the Great Lakes region, which I kind of mentioned last time, but in particular this is because the city's population rose to be the 4th largest in the United States by 1920 with the expansion of the automotive industry in the early 20th century. One of its main features, the Detroit River, became the busiest commercial hub in the world. In the mid-20th century, Detroit entered a state of urban decay, which has continued to the present as a result of industrial restructuring, the loss of jobs in the auto industry, and rapid suburbanization. So the specific kind of economic situation of Detroit today is linked to this history of its booming automotive industry in the early 20th century and the collapse of that industry in Detroit specifically. Obviously, like, a lot of people still buy and make cars, but for some reason there was a huge loss of jobs and a huge amount of de-development in Detroit from the post-Second World War period. And Detroit apparently filed for bankruptcy in 2013 and exited bankruptcy in 2014. It's the largest city in the US to have filed for bankruptcy, and it's seen an enormous amount of population decline since the 1950s. Detroit is best known as the center of the US automotive industry, and the big three auto manufacturers, General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis North America, or Chrysler, are all headquartered in Detroit. I think that this is really interesting because I was thinking about the CyberLife posters and kind of advertisements and stuff that we see in the game, and they say that the androids are assembled in Detroit, which is how you would describe putting a car together, right? Like cars are assembled in X location and blah blah blah. So I think that there's like a linkage being made between the androids and between cars, which I actually think is super interesting. Not to be back in the thing of like this is the goofiest game ever, but also has some really genuinely interesting stuff in it. Not trying to give credit to David Cage right now, but I think that's super interesting. And feels like potentially intentional because there's all of this stuff like in this title menu. I mean, I've gone to the extras screen so that while I'm talking, we don't get any of those voice lines from Chloe, because it's always awkward when I'm talking and then she interrupts. But I mean, she keeps dropping facts about the city of Detroit, like in that menu. So, and I feel like David Cage wants us to know that this game is set in Detroit, like very purposefully, and I think that its history with the automotive industry is definitely, not to like read intentionality, but I think it's a pretty clear like intentionality. So, I think I'm just reading what I'm seeing. Hi Charlotte, welcome. I'm doing a little bit of a kind of crash course about relevant history, modern history of the city of Detroit before we get back into the stream. So more on Detroit. Before the American Civil War, Detroit's position along the Canada-US border made it a vital stop on the Underground Railroad. Thousands of enslaved African Americans escaped Canada via the city. Detroit's contributions to the Union effort were also significant, with many residents volunteering to fight. The city's tensions over race, in tandem with national concerns over the draft, led to the Detroit Race Riot of 1863, leaving some dead and over 200 black residents homeless. This prompted the establishment of a full-time police force in 1865, because of course the police were founded in the United States to capture enslaved people and return them to their slave masters. With the rapid growth of industrial workers in the auto factories, labor unions such as the American Federation of Labor and the United Auto Workers fought to organize workers to gain them better working conditions and wages. So there's a labor movement in history in Detroit, which is significant. They initiated strikes and other tactics in support of improvements such as the 8-hour day and the 40-hour work week, increased wages, greater benefits, and improved working conditions. The labor activism during those years increased the influence of union leaders in the city. The demographic shifts caused by industrialization led to significant racial tensions in Detroit as well. The Great Migration brought African Americans from the South, while many Southern and Eastern European immigrants also moved to the city. Competition for jobs and housing fueled tensions between different ethnic and racial groups, and this period saw a rise of the KKK in Detroit, which became a powerful force during the 1920s against Black, Catholic, and Jewish communities. Once again, this is like, from what we've seen already, like very clearly a theme in this game, so worth noting, again, in relation to kind of like the city's industrial kind of like industrial nature and the car industry in particular, the auto industry in particular. As in other American cities in the post-war era, urban planning and infrastructure changes also impacted Detroit's racial dynamics. The construction of highways and freeways in the post-war era displaced many black communities, including historically significant neighborhoods. These areas were demolished for urban renewal projects, exacerbating the displacement of low-income residents. We talked a little bit about gentrification in the last stream, so that's unsurprisingly also a problem facing Detroit. And the Detroit Walk to Freedom Civil Rights March occurred in June 1963. Martin Luther King gave a major speech that foreshadowed his I Have a Dream speech in Washington, D.C. 2 months later at that march. So all of the MLK and civil rights stuff is, you know, again, we've already talked about that and stuff, but it's an interesting, kind of significant moment of that history occurs in the city of Detroit. And more on gentrification, the city has seen a rise in gentrification in some neighborhoods. In downtown, for example, the construction of Little Caesars Arena brought with it high-class shops and restaurants along Woodward Avenue. Office tower and condominium construction has led to an influx of wealthy families and displacement of long-time residents and culture. Areas outside of downtown and other recently revived areas have an average household income of about 25% less than the gentrified areas, and the gap is continuing to grow. So that's your incredibly brief history of Detroit, as far as probably relevant to this game. I don't know tons about it. That was like a 10-minute Wikipedia search earlier. If you want to learn more about Detroit and its history, and this game inspires you to do that, then I would definitely recommend it. I might do that myself at some point. Faye says, I looked it up and Michigan is part of the Rust Belt. That tracks. The Rust Belt is like a term for like a certain part of the United States that like was highly industrialized, right? And then there's kind of been an enormous like loss of jobs and de-development of those parts of the United States since kind of deindustrialization, right? Which, as far as I know, again, I'm not like super an expert on this, so I definitely recommend looking into it more, but it has to do with the rise of global capitalism as well, which I think is why it's linked to the post-Second World War era, because a lot of the industrial labor that was taking place in these towns that were relying on these industrial jobs has been like displaced to the global south, where that labor is like cheaper and more exploited. And there are similar trends that happened in the UK, particularly, with Thatcher's time in office and her kind of like intentional gutting of industry in the UK, and this resulting in like massive job losses and the complete destruction of industrial towns and communities. Charlotte says, this is niche, but my recent monthly recommendation was for a channel called Dove Makes, who is a cultural geographer. She's talking about it in the context of the Hunger Games, but she talks about Detroit and the Rust Belt in her video about District 6. Oh, that's really interesting. I might check that out, actually. Yeah, even if you know nothing about the Hunger Games, it's really informative and interesting. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, attacks on unions as well, that is definitely been a huge part of it. I mean, in the United States, it's like a lot worse than it is here in the UK, even, like the attacks on unions and like the state of unionization in the United States. Yeah, no, that's it. That's something that I think will be useful to keep in mind as we keep playing on, because obviously like racial metaphors and racial dynamics are a big part of this game, but I think that the car stuff is really interesting, like comparing the androids to cars. I actually think that's really interesting. I've been thinking a lot recently about the politics of cars, so maybe we'll get into that in this stream. Like cars in relation to like imperialism and sex and all of this kind of stuff. It's super interesting. So I think that that's actually possibly the most interesting thing that's come out of this. But also we talked a little bit about, you know, comparing the neighborhoods that Todd lives in to other neighborhoods that we see and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's that. Okay, now before I actually play the game, which, you know me, it takes forever, but we'll get into it. Just a quick reminder that we're still raising money for medical aid for Palestinians, so you might be able to see our donation bar at the top of the screen. Our donation goal is £2,000. Every time we reach our donation goal, we do a giveaway of a bundle of indie games that were generously donated to us by indie developers who support Palestine. Every little helps. If you want to donate to Medical Aid for Palestinians through our link and possibly join the giveaway, then ! Palestine is all you need to type in the chat to bring up the link to the fundraiser. If you donate, please let me know in chat so that I can give you a shout out. And for people who can afford it, I thought it would be fun to set a little thing of... Okay, so thus far we've got 9, maybe 10. The 10th is pending. Clumsy race metaphors in the game so far. For every additional clumsy race metaphor that comes up in this stream, if you can afford it, pick like an amount that you can afford, like maybe £1 or £5 or £10 based on what you can afford. For every clumsy race metaphor that we find in this stream, add that up. So if your unit is £3 and is £1 and we find 3 metaphors in the stream, then donate £3. If your thing is if your unit is £5 and we find 3, then donate £15, etc., etc. Or you can do each little donation one by one. Just do a donation for each metaphor. I thought that would be fun for people who can afford it. It would be a fun little game to get us to give some money for medical aid for Palestinians and also play clumsy race metaphor bingo. So if you're in, then just type in !Palestine in the chat to pull up the link to our fundraiser. Okay, guys. Me taking a big sip of my orange juice. Before we start the game. Chloe looks very pensive in this menu, doesn't she? Actually, I'm gonna just do a quick options check.
Accessing the options section.
I think everything should be fine, but I just realized that if I could make subtitle sizes bigger or anything like that, then it would be kind of nice. They're already large. Okay. You don't know what difficulty. Yeah, we're on casual. That's fine. I'm happy with casual, as always.
Your parameters have been saved.
Thanks, Chloe. Alright, let's get back into it. Hope everyone's doing okay on this fine Monday, by the way. Where did we leave off? What was the last scene that I played? Was it the interrogation scene? As usual, let me know about audio levels, by the way. I think I forgot to ask that last time, but if you want me to
Thank you for using Detroit
fix the sound balance, let me know.
Alright. End of the line.
End of the line?
Yeah, you're gonna have to leave.
We have to go.
The game is slightly louder than me. Okay, no problem. Just nudged it down slightly. Just a robot and her daughter.
You gonna be okay? We'll find somewhere to spend the night.
Oh, okay. Oh, God. A robot and her daughter. We have no home, and I'm trying to find us a home.
Come on, Alice, we've gotta hurry.
Okay, I was about to press R2 again, but I remember from last time that it's because I thought it was like a run button, but it's not. And R1 is also not a run button, it's just a change camera angle button. Oh my god, is that... No androids allowed. It's fine. We can't eat anyway. I mean, I assume they can't eat, right? Like, why would you make an android that can eat? Android temporary parking.
We need a place to stay. Do you know anywhere we could spend the night?
Hello, sir. That was rude. I'm enjoy. This is cute, like a cute little detail, but I do kind of enjoy the little animation of like if I'm changing my direction and stuff, like rapidly, she lets go of her hand and then grabs her other hand or something. It's just a nice little detail. It's really effective. Okay. Comfortable but not discreet and will need money. Eastern Motel. Okay. Open 24/7 but can't stay. That's the laundromat. Uncomfortable but safe. How to get in. Okay. Open 24/7. Can't sleep here. Ask for help. And that's like a corner shop. Okay, so I guess places I can stay seems to be... Oh, hold on. Won't open before morning. Okay, so not the coffee place. We've got... Did I check the drugstore? Shop is closed. Okay, so pretty much... Is that something? Uncomfortable but discreet. Is that different to uncomfortable but safe? How to get in? Check motel, check house, check parking lot. Okay, so those are our options. I think going to the laundromat seems like a good idea right now because we might be able to get like new clothes or something, and I'm pretty sure that I don't want people seeing that I'm like a deviant. So, you know, the deviant thing is starting to feel pretty charged in this particular context.
It's warm in here. You'll feel better in no time.
Of us, like, being houseless right now. Change of clothes. I'm just assuming that something will bad will... I don't know what the, like, legal ramifications in this universe are or anything, but I'm assuming that it's bad for... an android to run away with a human. Dry clothes for Alex. Oh, okay, so mainly it's dry clothes for Alex. Steal clothes. Listen, we gotta do it.
What are you doing? They're not our clothes.
We need them, Alice. You need something warm, and I need to get rid of this uniform.
But that's stealing. We can't do that.
I'm gonna steal. Sorry, 1 second. I'm just gonna turn on the lights in my room. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is quite an interesting scenario to have because it's immediately reminding me of Telltale's The Walking Dead. I know last time we talked a little bit about Alice falling into certain tropes about children in games, and she's just like a narrative object in a lot of ways, like that humanizes Kara. Rather than being like an interesting, like, three-dimensional character. And I think that this moment is also, for me, paralleling what I talk about in that video with regards to another trope about children in games, which is the way that children are supposed to represent some kind of, like, moral compass, and in this moment, like, Alice is being like, oh, you know, you're not supposed to steal, stealing is bad, don't steal, and, you know, that's supposed to make you feel guilty and not want to steal, right? So yeah, interesting stuff. I wonder how much that's going to be, like, a part of this, but I'm going to steal the clothes because we gotta do what we gotta do.
I'm sorry, Alice, but we have to do this.
I mean, you know, obviously I'd rather that we didn't have to take the clothes, but we have to take the clothes, don't we? I'm sure that whoever got their clothes washed. Oh, yeah, our approval rating just went down. With Alice for stealing. Interesting. Sorry, dude. I mean, I know that often, like, people who use laundromats, like, don't have a lot of money. And I don't feel good about necessarily, like, stealing from people who also don't have a lot of money. But it's entirely possible that they have more than Alice and Kara do in this moment, you know what I mean? How do we explain to our daughter that sometimes crime is necessary, lol? I know. Ooh, we got an article. Pollinating bees officially extinct. The beeline to disaster. Cybersecurity expert warns your Android could be hacked. Dating website discovered to have less than 5% female members. Holy moly. Where are all the women at? Gossips Weekly. My husband got an android pregnant. Story inside. Wait, androids can get pregnant? It's time to face the music. Live concerts make a comeback. 10 ways to please your man and keep him. Wow, this is... It's time to face the music. For the younger generation, watching concerts in VR has become the norm. And who wouldn't want to slip on a VR headset and enjoy the show from the best seat in the house? It's a cheap, safe, and no-hassle solution to watching your favorite performers. But live music is about to be de-revolutionized. Nina and Kosuke Music have launched a campaign to bring back old-school concerts with live audiences in front of performers in the flesh. Chuck Morrison, NKM spokesperson, explains The culture of going to live concerts is a thing of the past, but we want to bring that back. Real music is when it's vibrating through your soul, surrounded by people who are experiencing the same thing. Quite an interesting conversation to bring back with regards to all of the AI discourse recently. Break the Wall will be one of the first bands to take the stage, performing in front of a live audience and getting an immediate reaction will be mind-blowing. This is what music is supposed to be all about, says lead singer Baz Rudd. The hype, the applause, the screams. You just don't get that sitting on your sofa. If this proves a success, NKM's next step is to bring back music festivals, which should be music to fans' ears. Let me read about bees a second. For decades, scientists and farmers foresaw the inevitable extinction of bee populations. Despite these warnings, the Global Institute for Endangered Species announced at their Washington AGM yesterday that wild bees are now officially extinct. Living specimens exist only in captivity. Bee numbers have been ravaged in recent decades by colony collapse disorder, where worker bees disappear, leaving hives which cannot feed themselves. Biologists confirmed that CCD was accelerated by the overuse of pesticides in crops, parasites, and pollution. The consequence of this catastrophe will be felt across the cotton industry, freshwater supplies, and, most disturbingly, agriculture. Environmentalist Kathy Linda has stressed the breadth of this news. 1 in 3 months of food we eat relies on pollination of some kind. The resulting famine will lead to millions of deaths worldwide. CyberLife, in cooperation with GIES, have come forward with plans on creating robotic bees. Some are pursuing non-robotic approaches, such as Detroit Urban Farms currently experimenting with modified strains of bee produced in captivity, but there is no guarantee that they will thrive. Robotic bees. Jeez. We saw that robotic bird earlier on as well, right? It's a fun little outfit, Kara. Okay, we got our waterproof outfits, that's good. Sorry, one sec. Okay, so we had the motel and the parking lot and the house. I can walk. I can jaywalk. Okay, what? So she's like fully broken her programming or something now? Like now that she's broken a big rule, she can break any rules? Alice, where are you going? Alice, hold my hand.
This bus stop is closed for the night.
Alice, you're freezing cold.
I'm okay. I'm not so cold.
You look lost.
We have nowhere to go.
I know someone who can help you.
Okay. Oh, information transfer?
But that's on the other side of town. We need a place for tonight. Come on, Alice.
Thank you for using Detroit buses.
Sorry, that's Layla. It would be good to be able to steal some food for
Look,
her.
the store is still open. Maybe we should go inside. At least you'll be out of the cold.
Convince the cashier to help. Hi, Layla. Hi. She's on the desk hanging out with me. Food for Alice. Yes, I would like to get something. Oh, please do not go near my orange juice. That's not good for you. Chat saying hi to you, Layla. What you smell? Oh, you're getting into a nice loaf to sit and enjoy the game with us, Layla. Is the only food I can steal for her like a chocolate bar or something? Like it's better than nothing, but you know. I'm trying to convince the cashier to give us help, but like, okay, I don't want to exhaust this option yet because I have this feeling. Yeah, I do think the little animations of them like walking together and holding hands is really cute. Sleep in abandoned car. I mean, it's an option.
An abandoned house. At least we'd be out of the rain.
Kara, I don't like this place.
Oh, you don't like that?
I know. But it's just for one night, and no one will look for us here.
Oy, oy, oy. Squat in house. I think I'd really like to favor a discreet option because I'm a fugitive and stuff. I know she doesn't.
It looks
like the idea
abandoned.
of the house, but at least, like, I think we'd get more insulation and shelter in the house, and you know, yeah, I think squatting is a good option here. Okay, cool. Okay. Let's crack open the fence and then maybe I can go back and steal some food for her. Classic David Cage gameplay.
Are you alright?
Yes, it's just a scratch. Be careful. Don't worry, we're just having a look.
I don't know if you guys can hear her purring right now. Who's a happy girl? You're a happy girl, aren't you, Layla? Okay. It wasn't gonna be that easy,
Alice?
I guess.
Alice!
Oh, fuck. Alice?
Wait, what are you doing?
Visitors. Ralph doesn't like visitors. They're nasty. They may hurt Ralph.
Look, I'm an android too. You have nothing to be afraid of.
Oh, that calmed him down.
All we want is a place to spend the night.
Visitors are dangerous. Look. What they did to Ralph.
That's rough. Who did that to you? Why? I don't know what the thing about a gun is. Oh, I have a gun.
Okay. We're leaving, so you'll be safe again. Come here, Alice. Come here.
I realized I was running out of time, and then I kind of just smashed that button. But that's that, I guess. I guess we're not squatting in the house. So, sorry about that, guys. Gonna try.
We have to find somewhere.
House unavailable.
Anywhere, just a place to spend the night.
Okay.
Hang on, Alice. We'll find something, I promise.
Well, I feel that I fucked that up, but we'll figure it out. Yes, Lena, we'll figure it out. Me and my daughter in a video game, and me and my daughter in real life. Oh. Okay. The camera angle shit does not always work for me, but I guess one of the positives about this particular David Cage game is that the camera is a bit more mobile, which is good to remember, because I'm very used to like playing Quantic Dream games where the camera angle is fixed in a way that's quite frustrating. Well, like this, like in scenes like this. Food for Alice? Yeah, I can't take it though, can I? Okay, let's talk to the cashier, I guess. Look, in the right context, I can deal with a fixed camera angle, but not always in the
Can I help
game,
you?
know?
I'm with a little girl, and we have nowhere to go. Could you spare some money so we can get a room for tonight?
Look, this is a convenience store, lady, not the Salvation Army. I can't start handing out cash to every bum in the neighborhood.
Okay, fucking jerk. Shoplift, rob cashier. I have a gun so I could threaten him. Listen, I don't think I really want to go for the motel anyway, so I think I'm just gonna shoplift, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, Lost and Fairy, for resubscribing at tier 1. Been subscribed for 26 entire months. Thank you so much. What is this, like a security camera? Yeah. Okay, the cookies are in view of the security camera. That's not good. Can I hack the security camera or something? Because, like, what did I just unlock? Hey Alice, what's up? Use Alice. You literally, this is so funny because you can literally do this in both Life is Strange 2, when you can steal from the convenience store and you can use Daniel to distract in order to steal. And in not exactly the same scenario, but like similar in Telltale's The Walking Dead. I think in the final season, I can't remember any other examples, but you can like, okay, there are a bit different situations, but you can like choose between using AJ or trying something else. It's just the whole idea of like exploiting, well, I don't want to say exploiting exactly, but like using children to like create a distraction, or like to using their like size, or the fact that people, you know, like children or trust children, maybe more than like them. Oh, I could take a little toy for her. That would be cute. But I'm more concerned about stealing food for her. Yeah, just interesting. You could have been a lot more discreet about that, babe. But yeah, I'm gonna steal. Let's go. Come on, Alice. It was like plain face on the security camera, but come on, honey. I got you a little chocolate bar. I know it's not much, and I know that that was a really bad shoplifting job, but you know, it's the best we can do for now. And I'm sorry I fucked up the house option, but I'm just gonna have to sleep in this car. My question is,
Stand back, Alice.
can any of this stuff have like consequences on what's gonna happen in the future, or our relationship with Alice and stuff like that? Pretty curious about that. You can sleep in the car now.
It's dry inside, and nobody will find us here.
I don't want to sleep in there. Can't we find a better place?
I don't really know about the motel situation. Not even because I think she wouldn't be justified in like stealing money to like have somewhere decent to stay for the night, because that guy was just, you know, too much of a prick to just give her some money for like some shelter. But like, because it's because they can be found quite easily and it's like not discreet, so I'm a bit concerned about that, I guess. I'm not sure how much anything kind of will have consequences, but yeah, I think I'm gonna sleep in the car. Let's stay here.
We're better off staying, Alice. The important thing is for us to be safe. And it's just for tonight.
I was stealing from the laundromat she didn't like, and that seemed to impact our relationship. She's sitting here hanging out with us. Oh, Alice is distant. Honey, I know that this is like not fun, but we'll figure it out.
I have a chocolate bar. Are you hungry?
Why didn't he ever love me? Why was he always so upset with me? All I wanted was a life like other girls. Maybe I did something wrong.
I'm so sorry. I am not laughing at her. I'm just laughing because the writing is so goofy.
Maybe I wasn't good enough. That's why he was always so angry.
And the voice acting is the same, like, awkward voice acting from Heavy Rain. Maybe I did something... That's too much emotion. Maybe I did something wrong. That's why he was so angry with me. All I wanted was a life like other girls. I feel like the voice acting... I don't know if it's actual children voice acting right now, and I don't want to be mean about children voice acting. I don't want to be mean about children voice acting. They're trying their best. But, like... it's so goofy. Like, the writing is goofy and the voice acting is, like... The voice acting is giving, like, Gal Gadot as a child.
I just wanted us to be a family. I just wanted him to love me. Why can't we just be happy?
Maybe it was all my fault. I made Daddy angry. Why couldn't we just be a family? Max Lord, give me the stone. Enough champagne to fill the Nile. Kal-El, no. Hi, Lalin. Welcome to the stream.
You'll never leave me, right? Promise you'll never go.
Yeah, Bibs. Okay, so it is really fascinating, actually. I have to say that it's really, really fascinating how many of these decisions or scenarios are beat for beat in Life is Strange 2. But obviously that's a game with a lot better, like, writing of its child character and the relationship and, like, blah, blah, blah. But it's got some similar, like, narrative design elements for, like, trying to build the relationship with the child character, but Life is Strange 2 does it well, and this game doesn't do it particularly well. So I feel like this could be an interesting case study for people who want to be like, okay, what does it look like to write children well, particularly in games? Like, what does... even if there are, like, similar narrative design beats happening here, there's, like, the quality of the writing, for sure, like, just, like, the way the lines are written. And I don't know, some of the narrative design elements as well, I think. But I think the compare and contrast is something that you could learn a lot from. It's something I'm going to have to chew on because there's just been one too many similarities. Hi. I promise I'll always take care of you, Layla.
I promise.
Will we be together forever?
Okay, my one option is forever, so yeah.
Forever.
Kara, no. Kara, stealing is wrong. I still feel like I'm giving too much emotion. Okay, wow. So there's quite a lot of potential other things in this. So, find shelter for the night. I went to the laundromat. I stole from the laundromat. Not sure what the other secret thing I can do if I steal the clothes is, but whatever. Enter supermarket, notice count stack, notice cash register, bunch of other stuff I could have done at the supermarket. I assumed that I could have, like, still in the money. Used Alice as a distraction, but I'm not sure what else. Take the cutters, cut parking lot fence, or there's something else I could do with them. Meet Ralph, but then I gave up, which I did by accident, by the way. But that leads to, like, you can convince Ralph and you can stay in the squat, which would have been ideal, but I fucked that up. Sorry, guys. Layla's being very cuddly right now. Inside parking lot. Yeah, we stayed in the abandoned car. That's what happened. So, and then obviously the other route is probably the motel. Layla, you're in the way of the screen, but I can't be mad because you're so cute. I know because I've done that before, because fuck David Cage and his press and hold mechanics. Lol. Oh, like, you can fail at getting the clothes. Oh, you're so right, yeah. The Quantic Dream, like, press and hold, like, 10 buttons at the same time thing, I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy that one. I think it's very silly. Okay. Hey, I forgot, I realized that we've got world stats. I can toggle those on and off. Looks pretty split with most people staying in the squat. Okay. Let's continue. Oh, you know what? This is a scene that I remember because it's actually really... it's quite something. We'll talk about it. Self-diagnosis. Sorry. Optical unit, impaired vision, corrupted mind palace. That's hilarious. Therium pump regulator, all systems in power mode, defective. This is like his robot heart, I think, because Therium is the, like, blue blood. Left and right leg components missing, unable to stand. Audio processor, corrupted audio data damaged. Replace legs. Objective, replace legs. Classic. This is the scene that V crawling out of the junkyard made me think of. In Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah. I can definitely see that. Right leg component, functional compatible. Honestly wish I could just, like, replace my body parts. That would be nice. Right leg functioning. Yay. Okay, I can see his like robot heart pumping in his chest. Okay, so now he's needs one of his eyes replacing, and also he's struggling to hear, right?
There's a place where we can be free. Find Jericho. Find Jericho.
Stop, not Jericho. Well, as you guys may or may not know, the city of Jericho, which is like quite well known for being a biblical city, and that's probably the reference here. Just as like a important reminder that Jericho is still exists today. It's a city in occupied Palestine. I think it's in the West Bank, but I'd have to check for you. Jericho, Palestine. Yep, Jericho is a city in the occupied West Bank in Palestine. I'm gonna do a quick look about the biblical history of like the biblical like significance of Jericho, because I like remember it, but I remember it vaguely. So, the fall of Jericho, as described in the book of Joshua, was the first military engagement fought by the Israelites, and that, of course, is the conquest of Canaan. Oh, that's very charged. The walls of Jericho fell after the Israelites marched around the city once a day for 6 days, 7 times on the 7th day, with the priests blowing their horns daily and the people shouting on the last day. Damn, okay. That's charged. That's charged. Well, let's sit with that for a second, because Layla wants to be loud in my room, I think. So, I'll be right back. Is just sitting here being like, what the fuck are you doing? Chop chop. So another interesting like car parallel, I feel like you could say this is, because it's I mean it's invoking like a scrapyard, right, which is obviously where cars go to die, but it's like very creepy and very haunting because they're like people rather than inanimate objects. But can't you? Marcus, you can see just fine.
I'm begging you, please. End it. I don't want to live anymore.
Oh, not a mercy kill thing in a Quantic Dream game.
No, please. Don't leave me. Don't leave me.
There's like so much to be said for how like every video game ever with a choose your own adventure choice element has like a mercy kill option. Therium pump regulator incompatible. Oh right, yeah, my heart. I need to give myself a heart transplant or something. I also kind of like the way that the camera blur is happening a bit sometimes. It's pretty cool. It's got some cool stuff going on.
I want to live. Thank you.
Okay, that's interesting. So one of them wants to die and one of them wants to live. That's actually really interesting because you often don't get that contrast, right? I think it's often like taken for granted, especially I guess, you know, in my latest video essay and stuff I'm talking a lot about zombies, and one of the things that comes up like briefly in the video is like the trope of like, oh, if I become a zombie, kill me, and stuff like that. And often you don't feel like there's enough to really support the opposite point of view. Like, is it worthwhile just being a zombie? I'm sorry, the robo-heart is kind of funny. Okay, well that seems like a pretty important part, so that's good. Okay, and he can walk a bit easier now that he's fixed that. Ooh, nice. Got a working audio processor as well, that's good. Why was it in his hand? Just take it out. Okay, that is some pretty cool sound design, I gotta say. Honestly, I think it would have been even more effective without the music, but... Yay! Okay. Oh, it's blue? Oh. I don't have blue eyes. Remind me, did he get shot by the cop? I think he did, yeah. Which, again, Jesse Williams being a black man, that's interesting for him. It did slap. It did slap. Yeah. You know, once again, I gotta give David Cage some credit when he deserves the credit. I don't know if Marcus had blue eyes before, but am I some weirdo with blue eyes now? Sorry, not to be that person who's like... I don't know, it creeps me out when people of color have creepy, bright blue eyes. I don't know what to tell you. No need to apologize, Charlotte. Hope you're doing okay. Oh, that's cute. I hope you enjoy your trip. I think you have brown eyes before, like a normal person. Well, I don't know if there's like other optical units that you can find, but I just wasn't bothered to like dig around for other colors of eyes. Honestly, I think one of the things about the scene that's really not hitting for me is just the score. It's a bit too Spielberg for me, you know what I mean? Why is your face magically fixed? Oh, and all of his skin is magically fixed as well. Ooh, okay. The sound is a little loud. Okay, I'll turn it down again. I think you end up with a blue eye no matter what. Oh, okay. I've just turned down the game sound just a tad, so let me know how that is. Maybe the android blood? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the android blood is either. I just feel like the very dramatic, like, Spielberg movie score is like... I mean, I kind of always feel like in movies like that, not to bring in the whole David Cage just wanted to make movies, but for some reason he makes video games thing. But I feel that often, like, a sweeping dramatic score is trying to manipulate me into feeling things that, like, the visuals and the narrative and the screenplay and the acting and all of that have to work together to earn, and sometimes they're not doing that, but like the music is trying to carry it and, like, you know, pick up the slack. I think this would have been more impactful without, like, a super over-the-top score, that's all. Okay, so he's ripping off his... Sorry, well, I failed to do it. He's ripping off his... whatever that is. Like, what is that? I assumed that that was just like an on or off button or something like that. Didn't realize you could take it off. Okay, so I guess you can take that off, and that obviously means that he can pass as a human now. Oh my god, you guys. I think this has to go on the clumsy race metaphor list. Okay. I'm getting out the list. Passing as human. It's on the list. So we're at 10 at the moment, potentially 11 if the Underground Railroad thing picks up. You guys gonna donate for Clumsy Race Metaphor Bingo? That's right, I forgot that I'd suggested that. This is your time to pop us a little donation for Clumsy Race Metaphor Bingo, because we just got one. Really should have had this idea last stream when we had like 9, but
My name is Marcus.
stop it. Stop it, that's so goofy. That's so silly. Come on, Marcus. My name is Marcus. What the fuck was that? Indeed. What the fuck was that indeed? Oh, David. Apologies for chewing sounds. I am eating snacks. I am become Marcus. Bah ha 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 ha. David Cage. David Cage, David Cage, David Cage. I am David Cage. I make the art out of the video games. Back to life, analyze, self-repair, legs, hear about Jericho, passage of limbs, junkyard. Find regulator, android begs to die. Find optical unit, crane dumps bodies, dig yourself out, find audio processor, find pump regulator, climb slope, Marcus came back from the dead. So that one's pretty clear. And most people killed both of the androids, both the one who asked to die and the one who literally begged to live. Is this the video game Brown Jesus we've been waiting for? Oh my god. Yeah, actually Marcus is Palestinian. That's why the safe place for the androids is called Jericho. Yeah, I don't ask me how exactly that is the case. But it is. Okay. Oh, I was like, who the fuck is that? It's that other, it's the white guy that we play as sometimes. Okay, find Amanda. Who the fuck is Amanda? I guess it's relatively, like, it's worth noting that, like, he plays these 3 androids, and 2 of them break their programming, and it's a black man and a white woman. And the one that you're playing as that's, like, a cop who, like, hunts down deviants, and the deviants are the black man and the white woman, is a white man. The cop is a white man. That is of note. What is this? Okay. This is healing us from the Walking Dead Paul. Who is Paul again? Oh, fuck, Paul. He gets everyone to call him Jesus because he's a prick. Yeah, we need to be healed from that. Fuck that guy. It's like one of the only gay characters in the Walking Dead, like, TV show and comics as well, but he sucks. Honestly, like, they do not have good gay characters in that show. Most of them suck. I remember one of the characters who was, like, actually a lesbian rather than, like, an implied lesbian. In, like, within the explicit narrative of the show, is, like, ex-military, And I'm like, the next time that they make a lesbian character ex-military or currently military or a cop or something, I need to have someone to hold accountable. I need to have someone that I can punch in the face the next time that happens, you know what I mean? Also, this is pretty and all. I have a feeling that this is like the vibe that this is giving is very much like in I mean, it's like very hashtag Mind Palace again. It's giving in Heavy Rain the fucking FBI guy, which again, like, this is the cop and it's the FBI guy in Heavy Rain, when he like puts on the stupid like sports glasses and they're like super cool dude special Sherlock detective glasses, and they take him into his mind palace. It's giving that.
Hello, Amanda.
Connor, it's good to see you. Finding that deviant was far from easy. You showed great skill in your investigation. But you knew deviants could be unstable. You should have been more cautious.
I thought I could make it talk. It was a judgment error.
Never mind. I'm sure you'll be more careful in the future. The interrogation seemed challenging. What did you think of the deviant?
It showed signs of PTSD after being abused by its owner. As if its original program had been completely replaced by new instructions.
This Lieutenant Anderson has been officially assigned to the deviancy case. What do you make of him?
I find him unpleasant and unprofessional. He seems to have an addictive personality, has a lack of respect for procedure, and despises androids, which makes our relationship difficult.
Unfortunately, we have no choice but to work with him. What do you think is the best approach?
I will focus on the investigation and try to ignore him. As long as he doesn't interfere and we avoid conflict, he shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, she likes that, I guess.
More and more androids show signs of deviancy. There are millions in circulation. If they become unstable, the consequences will be disastrous. You're the most advanced prototype CyberLife has ever created. If anyone can figure out what's happening, it's you.
You can count on me, Amanda.
Revolution.
Hurry, Connor. There's little time.
Oh no, who could have foreseen the consequences of millions of androids being in circulation, you treating them like an oppressed class, using like at least 10 different like modes of racial oppression, and then them potentially being an enormous collective threat to the state that oppresses them. Who would have thought that? Who could have possibly foreseen that?
Tensions in the Arctic have reached a new level, with a Russian carrier and an American patrol boat reported to have clashed last night. Several warning shots were exchanged, apparently with no damage or casualties to either side. The Minister for Defense, Dennis Riggs, has spoken of intolerable provocation that cannot go unanswered. The countries in the region, particularly Sweden and Canada, have called for military forces to withdraw and an international conference to be held. So far, there has been no response from either Moscow or Washington. We'll keep you informed minute by minute as the situation develops.
Oh, unfortunately, because Map doesn't have a PayPal option, I can't donate. Fair enough, Lost and Fairy. Appreciate you trying, though. If anyone else wants to pop a donation in honor of the new clumsy race metaphor that we found, then that would definitely be appreciated. Don't cross the line. Okay. Wow. Such a square, Connor.
Can I help you?
I'm here to see Lieutenant Anderson.
Do you have authorization?
Yes.
Lieutenant Anderson hasn't arrived yet, but you can wait at his desk.
It closed behind me and I can't cross back. Yeah. I do think that those game design elements are pretty interesting and pretty effective. Can't scan them. I just have to Luke like a normie. Okay, well I can't see a name on that desk, so that's really useful. There we go. Detective Collins. I don't know what PO is. I don't care to understand anything about military ranks. So, Reed. Miller. Oh, look, these are androids parked in the Wilson. Okay, well, Anderson.
Excuse me. Do you know what time Lieutenant Anderson usually arrives?
Depends on where he was the night before. If we're lucky, we'll see him before noon.
Ha ha ha. Running joke in the office that our colleague is an alcoholic. Everything's fine. Look at his awkward fucking sitting in that chair. Go see the Deviant. Learn about Lieutenant Anderson. I would like to go see the Deviant. Knights of the Black Death. Dark heavy metal. Who doesn't love a bit of heavy metal? Anyway, I actually just want to go see the Deviant, because I have a feeling it's like I have limited time to do the thing. It would be great if I could do all of the things, but I am going to focus on the thing that I want to do the most.
You're still here? I thought your assignment was over.
It's just been extended.
Hank's gonna be overjoyed to hear that. You were right about that android. It's been quiet in the cell all night. It's scheduled for transfer today.
Is that the cell over there? Right. Okay, yeah, I think this is the correct area. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
What are you looking at? Hey, fuck you.
They're going to destroy me.
I'm sorry. It's not what I wanted. But there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, there is.
I'm going to die.
Deviant, non-responsive. Does that imply that there's... Okay, go see Deviant. It's an interesting prison cell as well. Please place hands inside. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's a way you can save him. Ugh, that sucks.
Open the cell, quick! Hurry!
I'll call Cyberlife. Clean this mess up.
Oh, rest in peace.
It's good to see you again, Lieutenant.
Oh, Jesus. Hank!
Friendlier than I
In
would
my
have
office.
delivered it.
Involving androids on my desk every day. We've always had isolated incidents. Old ladies losing their android maids and that kind of crap. But now, we're getting reports of assaults and even homicide, like that guy last night. This isn't just CyberLife's problem anymore. It's now a criminal investigation, and we've got to deal with it before the shit hits the fan. I want you to investigate these cases and see if there's any link.
Why me? Why do I gotta be the one to deal with this shit? I am the least qualified cop in the country to handle this case. I know jack shit about androids, Jeffrey. I can barely change the settings on my own phone.
Everybody's overloaded. I think you're perfectly qualified for this type of investigation.
Bullshit! The truth is, nobody wants to investigate these fucking androids, and you left me holding the bag.
CyberLife sent over this android to help with the investigation. It's a state-of-the-art prototype. It'll act as your partner.
No fucking way! I don't need a partner, and certainly not this plastic prick.
I don't need no partner.
Hank, you are seriously starting to piss me off. You are a police lieutenant. You are supposed to do what I say and shut your goddamn mouth.
You know what my goddamn mouth has to say to you?
Okay,
huh?
okay. I'll pretend like I didn't hear that, so I don't have to add any more pages to your disciplinary folder, because it already looks like a fucking novel. This conversation is over.
Jeffrey, Jesus Christ, why are you doing this to me? You know how much I hate these fucking things? Why are you doing this to me?
Listen, I've had just about enough of your bitching. Either you do your job or you hand in your badge. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got work to do.
It's interesting that, so he's saying that there's more and more cases of, like Amanda's saying there's more and more deviants, but this guy is saying that there's more and more cases of androids like physically assaulting and even killing people, generally their like owners or the people who hired them, or you know, whether it's like the language or the framework of slavery or of like capitalism, which I guess like both kind of apply. But it's interesting because I guess it like raises some interesting questions about like political violence. And you know, one of the aspects of kind of Black history in the United States, which is obviously super glossed over, is like how many enslaved people like killed their like slave masters, plantation owners, etc. And this kind of reminds me of that, but I was also like, I've been reading some interesting stuff over the last few days about like political violence with regards to feminism, in that like, you know, most women who are in prison for violent crimes statistically are in prison for killing their abuser, which is usually a male abuser, and it's usually intimate partner violence or like domestic violence of some other kind. And this is like an interesting thing. I think that we don't often necessarily talk about political violence in the context of like patriarchy and how, you know, women are entirely justified in like physical retaliation, but even like, you know, even murder, like killing, even, you know, any kind of physical violence against like people who, like men in particular, who like assault, harass, abuse them. And women get worse punishment statistically for homicide than men do, but statistically they are more likely to be killing like their abusers, like people who have abused them and harmed them, and those are generally men. And disproportionately, like Black women and other women of color are more so than white women incarcerated on charges of killing their like male abuser. And it's an interesting aspect of the conversation on political violence, because it's not necessarily like organizing guerrilla warfare in the way that we often think about it, but I guess like it is a kind of guerrilla warfare, and it is something that, you know, if you as an oppressed person are willing to physically cause harm to someone as like a preventative measure, then not only is it something that's like entirely justified, but it's something that like is a deterrent, because if men are afraid that if they hurt or harass or sexually like harass or assault women, that those women will like beat the shit out of them or even kill them, if men were afraid, then that would like drastically decrease like patriarchal like interpersonal violence, right? And that it's something that I was reading like a couple of like a book chapter and a couple of articles about, and it was interesting. It was reminding me of like the thing in Life is Strange that Chloe says about how she thinks the women should control the guns. But it's an interesting, like, you know, it's not necessarily someone's like starting or joining like a revolutionary group and then taking up arms and like engaging in guerrilla warfare with the military, and that's often what we envision when we think of political violence, and that is political violence, and that's like, you know, the violence of resistance against your oppressors, which is like totally understandable and totally like justified in the pursuit of liberation. But I also think that, yeah, like, you know, killing your abuser, killing your like slave master or plantation owner is like an interesting particular manifestation of political violence that, yeah, we've seen it with this particular case. I mean, in this game, like, I, as Kara, I killed Todd, and that deviant killed, you know, the person that owned him as well, and also that deviant is like a, you know, in the case of Kara killing Todd, it very much like reads as like a woman killing like her male abuser in that situation, and like her daughter's male abuser. That's very much like how that reads. And then, you know, that deviant that we see in like the case with Connor is a black man as well, and we see him like killing his owner. So it kind of reads in both of those ways, like in those scenarios. And it's just, yeah, it's interesting. They aren't paid, so I don't think they're hired. Yeah, no, it's a good point, Faye. I know that like that language was used once or twice, which I thought was interesting, but I guess that as far as we know, they like pay a sum of money to own the android, as you would with like an enslaved person, and then that person is considered property like by the state, and they're not like paid a wage for the work that they do. So yes, yeah, I mean, it is slave labor in that sense, so I think you're right. It reminds me of the Gulabi Gang. Yeah. Oh god, I haven't thought about Gulabi Gang in a while, but yeah. So there's like a Hindi language movie about the Gulabi Gang, and basically like Gulab is pink, and they're like a group of women who in India who wear like pink saris, and they like beat the shit out of like men who rape or sexually abuse women and girls. Icons. That's like a lot more organized, which is cool. But yeah.
I would like to start reviewing the case files. Can you tell me where I...
Talk to Hank. Close the door on your way out.
Have a nice day, Captain.
I think my thing here is that I'm pretty my feeling is pretty much to alienate Hank, who I don't particularly like, and encourage Connor to empathize with deviants, to hopefully encourage him to break his programming, if that's an option. And I'm hoping that breaking his programming would mean not being a cop anymore, because obviously. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
It's an honor to be working with you, Lieutenant. I'm sure we'll make a great team.
Cop on cop violence.
Now that we're partners, it would be great to get to know each other better. Is there a desk anywhere I could use?
No one's using that one.
Analyze deviancy files. Okay, well I can't sneak a peek at his stuff now, so I've lost that opportunity, sadly. But I think he has some sort of like sob story about why he hates androids, which will have to go under another clumsy race metaphor if it comes up.
Do you listen to Knights of the Black Death? I really like that music. It's full of energy.
You listen to heavy metal?
I do.
Well, I don't really listen to music as such, but I'd like to.
Sorry, that's... I mean, I can actually bond over that because I do enjoy heavy metal.
Lab report says they cut it with something.
I've been listening to Spirit Box's new album later for anyone who's like a fan of metal. Spirit Box are fucking great, but they're like a female-fronted metal band that are just really good, and they've released a new album lately that is a banger.
Have you known Captain Fowler for long?
Yeah. Too long.
I was wondering, do you always arrive at the office at this time?
I arrive when I arrive. Stop busting my balls, okay?
If you have any files on deviants, I'd like to take a look at them.
Terminal's on your desk. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, again, very, very similar ways that Connor is constructed to Nam and Jaden from Heavy Rain. Okay. Case file. Case reference, disappearance, victim Gordon Lopez, reporting officer, blah blah blah. Case assigned to Lieutenant Anderson, case open, involving android, yes. The plaintiff reports that he left his android at home as usual when he went to work. When he returned, the android was nowhere to be found. No trace of a break-in in the apartment. The android may have left home without being ordered to. So, okay. So, it bears pointing out that this is a missing android case. And the missing android... the nature of the missing android case is the android is property of the plaintiff in this case, and the plaintiff has essentially like reported lost property and wants the property returned to him, you know, rather than like a missing persons case in which like the missing person is like a human being with like human rights, which I mean that's a whole other conversation, like the human rights framework and how like it's flawed and stuff. But so the police are investigating this case in order to return the like property to the plaintiff. This invokes to me the fact that in the United States the police originated as like slave patrols, which is to say the police originated as a force that searched for missing people who were enslaved who generally ran away because they were enslaved and they lived in horrific conditions, and would hunt these people down, find them, and return them to plantation owners because they were the plantation owners' property. So it was about protecting, well, not protecting the property as such, like as protecting the person, but returning the property to its owner, which obviously like is horrific. And the parallel just feels important to mention. Yeah. Okay. Next case. Attack victim Charles Bell. Assigned to Lieutenant Anderson. Open case involving android. The plaintiff seems to have been attacked by an AV-500. Number 234777821 model android, working as a waiter at the Fast Coney Dogs restaurant chain situated at 842 Chamberlain Avenue. The plaintiff claims the android lunged at him unexpectedly and attempted to strangle the man before leaving the scene. The android remains at large. The next one, attack victim Sara Cornwall. The plaintiff claims to have been attacked by her android, an AP-700, number 480-913-802. The android also trashed several rooms in the house before taking flight. Right, so I don't want to assume anything about Sara Cornwall, but it's giving a white woman with a black domestic servant, so that's great. case disappearance, victim Floyd Mills. The plaintiff, the manager of the Eden Club, reported the unexplained disappearance of a sex android model WR400, number 641790831. The android disappeared after accompanying a customer to his home and never returned to the club. Hold on. Case attempted murder, victim Leo Manfred. Case assigned to Lieutenant Anderson, solved, involving android. This is pertaining to Marcus, I think. Leo Manfred was found unconscious in the home of his father, Carl Manfred. Hilarious that their name is Manfred. The latter's witness statement attests to an altercation between his son and the house android. The android is thought to be a prototype, unknown model and serial number, and was destroyed at the scene by attending officers. Right, this is the information about Marcus being a prototype. Leo's alive, I guess, just unconscious, which makes the whole situation even worse. Case homicide, victim Todd Williams, open involving android. The victim's body was found by a friend who came by to say hello. He immediately called the emergency service at 8:42, who recorded death by gunshot wound. The murder weapon may have belonged to the victim, his android, an AX-400, who was not found on the scene and is the main suspect. And that's Kara, of course. So, sorry, I'm comparing some of the models to see if there are any similar ones, but not that I can notice. Right. Okay. Unfortunately, from what I remember, it says Lost and Fairy, I think getting close to Hank is associated with becoming more human, which is annoying. Oh, boo. Well, I'm just gonna do what I do and see how it goes.
243 files. First dates back 9 months. It all started in Detroit and quickly spread across the country. An AX-400 is reported to have murdered a man last night. That could be a good starting point for our investigation. You shouldn't let your personal situation hamper the investigation, Lieutenant.
You don't know what the hell you're talking about. So why don't you just run your program and shut the fuck up?
I've been assigned this mission, Lieutenant. I didn't come here to wait until you feel like working.
Listen, asshole. If it was up to me, I'd throw the lot of you in a dumpster and set a match to it. So stop pissing me off. Or things are gonna get nasty.
Lieutenant? I'm sorry to disturb you. I have some information on the AX-400 that killed the guy last night. It's been sighted in the Ravendale district.
I'm on it.
It's also worth noting that the trope of, like, guy who is a racist, like, you are, you know, from this group and you're forced to work with this guy who's a racist and you're supposed to, like, be kind to him in order to, like, in order to proceed. Like, you get the best outcomes out of the situation if you let someone who's, like, a racist walk all over you. It's, just worth noting that it's something that we've talked about a bit, again, in the Telltale Walking Dead video essay with, like, the dynamics between, in particular, Lee and Kenny. Oh, there was an optional thing that I didn't find in the Zen Garden, LOL. Zen Garden. Oh, I missed a couple of articles in the office. Apologies. Hank got a lead, or something else could have happened, I guess. Yeah, you're meant to, like, win him over in order for him to humanize you. Yes, this is exactly it. And again, the game, it's, like, explicitly, it's called Detroit Become Human. It's, like, explicitly using the language of, like, the androids becoming human. So the game is, like, constantly giving us information about, like, what we're supposed to understand that it means to be human, or specifically to become human. Which is interesting framing as well, like, not to be human, but to become human. And in order for Frank to humanize Connor, we have to, like, put up with his bullshit and, like, be nice to him and, like, get him, you know? I don't want to, like, speak too soon because I'll see how the relationship develops a little bit, but again, as I talked about, like, a lot in that particular video essay, it's, like, a very troubling trope where you're, like, you know, forced into proximity with, like, a person who's essentially, like, a bigot against who you are, and you are expected to, like, be nice to them in order for them to humanize you.